Yeah, so just getting going on this job. Late start. I have to wait for the gate to be opened up. I don't have a key yet. It's northwest of Salem, Eola Hills. Got moved in the other day. Gonna get started this morning. Moved in the last week on Friday and they will get set up. I put a little time into some flagging. I'm going to be block cutting a truck road on this patch this morning. That's a good technique. I think I've talked about it in other videos. Do that quite a bit in the summertime when we're building spurs at the same time we're logging. Yeah, this is a pretty nice stand. It'll be interesting to see how it weighs. It seems like it's older. Sometimes that wood can be heavy. Sometimes it can be light. Yeah, so I'm not sure what this is. I guess it's just a cat right here. We'll open this up as we're pulling it back. And then out where this little pad, there's this little stretch of trail ends. I flag down to where we might need to set the yard or reach down in the canyon. And that's where I'll be opening up some new road. Hopefully we won't need it. Open it up anyway. This seems like pretty decent ground, although there are boulders, but I'm pretty sure it's old ag ground, so hopefully it's not a whole lot of rock on top of the ground. Yeah, so there's my first of my flags there. Talked about that before, but that makes such a difference, you know. I mean, I had a little time the other day, so now in the dark or near dark, I can go ahead and get started, know where I'm going, get something done right off the bat. So this is, I think, 22 acres, this block, private ground. And the property line is off to my right now as we're looking down the hill. And the forester doesn't have that finished up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the right or the left-hand side of this potential spur. That way I don't crowd the forester when he does show up. triple flag out there. That it breaks down to where a couple crooks come together. It's pretty steep. Off here to the left, I can work on that ground, but we may have to have a yarder to get that other stuff. Yeah, this is nice sized wood. It's got some height to it. So what I'm doing, I'm gonna build a big bunch here. I want to hold it back from the edge off to my left there, where I'm going to drop down. Over that bank into that creek, so I can do that after I get this flat ground done. Kind of holding the stuff back away from that triple flag out there too. Yeah, there's a rock waiting for me. I'll end up probably packing quite a bit of stuff back. This will be a monster bunch here. So that's kind of a pain in the neck, but there's a method to the madness that saves time in the long run and makes it work. It's some pretty good sized wood scattered in this. It's always interesting to kind of think about what went on this stand. Like that tree there seems quite a bit older than this other stuff. Scattered big stuff out here that I'm going to leave for right now. Kind of making this up as I go along. When I laid this out, I doctored up the property line that I could see, but the forester wants to work on it. So what I figured I'd do would be to start off on the right on the property line. I picked out a hole as far down that steep ground in that canyon as I figured I could go. Figured I'd put all this stuff that we're cutting now kind of to the right towards the property line, back away from that. So kind of changing it around a little bit here on the fly. But that bigger stuff does need to go that way. Like I said, I'm going to leave it for right now. This wood's light. That's kind of what I was thinking it would be. Ooh. There are some rocks in here. So yeah, packing wood around, it's a total pain in the neck. But again, like I said, there's a method to the madness. A little bit of work in the beginning will get me off to a good start. I just think that's pretty critical. Kind of have a plan and do whatever work up front it takes to get off to a good start. Then with a good start, the cutting will be efficient, productive right off the get-go. Create a good day. Leave this bigger stuff in here too for now. That's got to go across the hill there, so save that. So I'll come back for that. This stuff here I'll be able to work at kind of an angle like I've mentioned before, kind of cut the grade, and that stuff will be tipped pretty much like this stuff we're looking at will be tipped top towards me, so that way the shovel can pull it to his right and the butts will be, you can pull it, deck it to his right, then they'll be kind of gunned to pull back, head up to the land. So help him out so the shovel doesn't have to go clear down in there. We don't really know how it is down in there. It's a non-fish creek, and it appears to be dry, but I hate working downhill into water. Unhook this one, pretty good size one that I faced up. Then we'll kind of be ready to rock and roll. This small wood, it's nice wood actually. It is a little bit on the small side, but I really don't mind that. It's a perfect bunch of wood. And I definitely will be accumulating when I get going, but it's a place where, I'm kind of trying to build this neat bunch here. I don't want the top to get too tall because I'm going to be falling across them, so I don't want to, make a huge mound down there that I'll break tops on. So what I'm saying is in general, I'm just going to single stem here for a minute until I get all these get this all kind of organized. So actually get started cutting, create a face. So up slightly when you're trying to put them in a specific space. If you do have them spread, then you got to go back and fool around with them. You kind of lose any advantage you might gain by accumulating, I think. So here I'm kind of reaching out the other side of what may be a road. Easier to grab it when you're here, not need to, than the other way around, I think. So this is kind of a wedge-shaped piece. Let's see if we can take a look at it now that the computer's opened up. Yeah, not really. It's still sleepy. Needs more coffee. But it's kind of a wedge shape that'll open up, you know, as I work my way back up. So what I'm going to do is cut on the right, looking up the hill, cut a little bit further, and then I'll establish a face that runs at an angle. That way the wood will be kind of falling this way. Now I'll be cutting that stuff first, so that'll be on the bottom. The stuff that will get reached first will be, you know, pointed that direction. I'll create a face as I go up the hill. That'll get longer. I'll be kind of throwing it away from that right away, and by establishing this first, I'll be able to keep that space along the edge that I want. Yeah, because you can see it moderates as we go up the hill here too, down over the bank. So that'll work out pretty good, I think. Some pretty nice white fir in this patch too. It's funny, that white wood it has such beautiful form. It's not really certainly not as desirable or valuable tree, but it sure looks good. It's very weak too, brittle. It's really hard to save darn stuff. face taking shape. So I'll probably cut a couple more. Then I can go cut my way back down for the first time. So it may be hard to see, but that's where we walked down in a little while ago. That's where the road will be if we need it. So I decided to come down here and start at the bottom of this first pass across the face. It's so skinny, the wood's going to be topped out on each other, and so this stuff will be the furthest away. So as he takes it apart, working out from the land, and I want this stuff to be on the bottom. Next pass along this face, it'll be a little broader, so there'll be a little bit more room to change the angle. So that won't be as much of an issue, but I don't know if that makes sense or not, but basically I cut kind of backwards from how it's logged. I start at the back end, cut my way to the land, and so the stuff, you know, furthest away is on the bottom, so to speak. You know, the last tree I cut at the landing is on top, so that's really important. I do everything I can to make that work well for the shovel, because you know, that way the bunches aren't topped out on each other, and so they come apart easily, if that makes sense. Yeah, so looking back now, this little spur is kind of taking shape back there. You kind of see that triple flag back there, so we got a, you know, right away. We're not sure we're going to need it, but I wanted to cut it in case we do need it. Always better to have it. So that's taking shape, and this little, you know, this is the tip of this little strip is beginning to take shape. So anyhow, we're about to settle in to actually be able to just go ahead and cut, which is always fun. A lot of getting started, you know. But anyhow, I hope you find it interesting.